What's up, everyone? Mikey here, and
Hi.
Lauren, my girlfriend, and oh, I got a message on Facebook from a nice lady saying, how did I get back into dating and a breakup? And that's what we're gonna talk about. You're gonna give yourself a headache. What? So, for me, when I got back into dating, I I was like, I'm never gonna find anyone. I'm never gonna have someone to accept me in a wheelchair. Um, on all my dating profiles, I always put that I'm in a wheelchair. You know, I don't, I never want to hide it. It's, I never been like that. I never thought that was a good idea to hide it. Um, did I have,
You had. It was in your profile picture, but I couldn't tell initially. I thought you were just sitting in a chair, and you didn't mention it when we first started talking. You said, I think it was like after a few days you said it, and
that website? I don't really go on it that much. So there was a lot on there, so that's why.
yeah, I remember I looked through your photos and I couldn't tell. I was just looking at you. I just thought you were adorable and cute, and I didn't even notice, or because I think in one you were just sitting in a normal chair, and then another one the angle, like you couldn't see the rest of the chair, and you said, I think it was like after a few days, listen, I gotta tell you, I'm in a wheelchair, and for me that's like it's not a deal breaker or anything or a problem per se. I mean, I work in home health, so I mean, it's nothing I'm not used to per se. It's something that I'm already used to. So that's not something that bothers me or anything, but everybody's who utilizes a wheelchair is different, It's never the same thing, and so there was a certain amount of education on my part to really learn about your condition and your diagnosis and the story behind your diagnosis, because admittedly I didn't know a whole lot about cerebral palsy. I knew very little about it or I had like a basic understanding about it, but I think what a lot of people don't realize with CP is that not everybody acquires it the same way.
Nah, there's, there, there are various levels of CP.
It's not all in one box. It's not.
Some people can walk, some people can't do anything. So there are different levels, and then I don't think they're like level one, level to, but there's
No, it's just a varying spectrum of manifestations of the illness. And it took a lot of learning for me because initially, when I found out, he didn't actually tell me I have cerebral palsy. He linked me to one of these videos. I forget which one it was. It was. You were wearing a black shirt. It was. What was it? I don't remember. But he linked me to that one, and I watched it, and I said, oh, okay. Because I heard your voice for the first time, because we didn't talk on the phone yet.
I never talk on the phone.
And I figured that was your way of telling me without actually telling me. And I remember thinking, oh, well, he could have told me, it wouldn't have bothered me. I think that was just your way of telling me.
I I did. I wasn't ashamed of the wheelchair, but from past experience, some people just
And that's understandable, I think, with anybody who has something that affects their day to day living. If you have a disability, or if you have an STD, or if you have anything that really just affects your activities of daily living, which would then in turn affect your partner and their daily living, assuming that they spend time with you and you go out and go out to dinner or something, or eventually down the line live together. There's a certain amount of education that needs to be done for you
on both sides.
on both sides, because I had to learn how to care for you when you need it. But the important thing, I think, dating a person with any kind of disability is that they're not looking for a caregiver. They're not looking for somebody that I do in my job. That's what I do. I'm a caregiver. So he wasn't looking for work me. He was looking for me as a partner. And I think there's a fine line that a lot of people end up crossing without even realizing it, when they have a partner that needs a lot of care, where it's not really a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or a husband and a wife, or what have you. It becomes, caregiver patient. And I think that's where a lot of relationships end up going wrong, when one of them, or even both of them, is disabled in
If
some way.
you decide to be with someone, no matter what, it should be to the end. Like, you die or someone dies, it shouldn't be like, oh, I gave up. I don't want to be with you because you made that decision. So
When you make that decision, just as you would make a decision to be with anybody, even an able-bodied person, when you make a decision to be with this person, and you say, okay, I want to pursue this, I want to do this and this, because that's what you said to me. You said after a few weeks, I want to pursue this, because we had spent a lot of time together already. Like, I came over for the bonfire, and then I took you out, I took you to Hobby Lobby, we decorated your shed.
so when you get into dating again, which you should, and you do have a disability, and you do talk to other people, and they say, "Oh no, can't be with you. I can't be with someone like that. What do you say?
Fuck them.
Fuck 'em.
They're not really
Fuck 'em.
not really worth your time and not really worth your energy. I mean, it's upsetting, but you have to just sort of see. I can't speak for you, but in my experience, with something that I had to tell people about my life and how it affects me and how it would in turn affect them, a lot of men would kind of just turn away in disgust, like, "Oh God, no, like forget it," or
That if someone can't accept you for you and all that comes with it, with you, they don't deserve you. They don't deserve your worth.
they're not looking at the big picture that is you. They're looking at this tiny little part of you and blowing it up and using it to define you, I think. When really, when I look at you, you're not just a wheelchair. You're not a person with a disability. Like, you're my partner. You're my partner in crime. You're my everything. And
Pain in the ass.
yes, but but I am too.
So, I always said this in all my videos. If someone doesn't like you, there gonna be 10 more people that gonna love you for who you are. And you should never, never, never change who you are for anyone. Um, yeah. The best way to get into dating, get back into dating, is finding self love. Self love is everything. And if you can't find that, you can't find love. Like I believe if you can't love yourself, you can't love other people, which you can, but you're not gonna be as
You're not going to be the best
happy.
version of you that you
Exactly.
possibly can be, which is what the other person deserves. And
Needs you to be that.
just like I can't be my best version of me and be with you, because if I'm not the best version of me, then you're not getting the best possible love that I can give you, or the best possible care that I can give you when you need physical care, like helping you get dressed if you're hurting one day, if your back is bothering you, or if it's a little bit harder to put on your shoes one day. And,
Let's say.
well, in your defense, those boots are fucked. So,
So it's like, don't, and don't settle. Don't settle for less. And don't change. Um, so when you do, I guess it can wrap it all up.
just a disclaimer, this is all with the assumption that you as a person are interested in dating, because not everybody wants to date, they're perfectly fine being single, and that's fine. This is just going on the assumption that you as a person do want to date, so not to say that, you have to do this. You have to be with somebody. You have to have a partner, because you don't have to. It's just going on the assumption that you do.
And the biggest thing that you can do for you and the other person that you're talking to is to be straight up with them. Don't hide anything. Like you used to tell people, are you scared of guns or knives? Because that's what I have. I got guns, I got knives.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first things you said to me. You were like, "Oh, have you ever?" I think you asked me if I'd ever shot a gun or something like that,
And
and I haven't in a while, but I don't really have experience for it, and so even just recently, you had me hold it so I could know how to use it in the event of something. Something's going on. There's somebody in the house or something along those lines. But you wanted me to at least know, and you taught me the proper way of how to handle a knife and everything. And
I didn't want you to think that, like, I was gonna kill you or something. But to be straight up, if you got anything that you gotta tell the other person, you don't have to tell them straight off, but you should tell them, like, oh, I'm in the wheelchair, I have this, I have that, and don't ever let someone that tells you you're not beautiful, because you are. You just gotta find that right person that will accept all of you. And there will be people out there that are gonna hate you, but there's more people that are gonna love you. So you gotta make your way through the
through the fish,
assholes.
through the fish.
Yeah.
And you,
So
as the other person in this relationship or this potential relationship, if they're giving you all the honesty that they have and all of the information that they can give you, you owe it to them to give them just as much honesty, to be completely straight. Like, I don't know a whole lot about this. I don't have a lot of experience with this. I wouldn't sugarcoat it and say, "Oh yeah, that's great, that's fine," and then you and that person go somewhere, and it kind of turns into this clusterfuck of, oh, how do you like this done? What about this? How do you need me to do this? It's a lot of talking and communicating that I think needs to happen beforehand. Like, um, I think we talked for a while about whether or not the chair would fit in my car, and
and it did.
it did.
We talked and
It did. I had like a Toyota Corolla. It was old, and it just barely fit in the trunk. But I made sure when I was getting my new car, we'd been dating for a while at that time, and I wanted to be sure that whatever I got would be able to fit a wheelchair in the trunk, because I don't have a van like your dad does. I just have a Honda Civic, and I remember I asked the guy. I was like, "Hey, I have a boyfriend who's disabled. He has a wheelchair. I need this to be able to fit in there because, he and I, we like to go places, and that's another thing too, is that you can't date somebody with a disability and think that you're gonna stay in all day, or just spend a lot of time at home.
That was the biggest. Like, I don't like to staying at home, and I don't want people to think that I just stay at home. And I was afraid, but I told her like a little a little work. We could go anywhere we want,
And the thing
and
is,
we do.
yeah, and the thing is, just with me personally, it's not really work to me at all because that's just what I do on a daily basis. Like, it is my work, but when I come home to you, it's like, okay, let's go. Let's get your jacket on, get your shoes on, go out the door.
The best thing that you can do, I say that a lot. Another thing that you can do is like communicate. That's all you gotta do.
And if you're not communicating in your relationship, I don't care if you're both able-bodied or both disabled, one and the other. If you're not communicating, then what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing if you're not sitting and talking?
I can think of something, but I ain't gonna say it.
Besides that, you have to have you have to be able to effectively communicate with them and just say, hey, how are we gonna do this? We talk
And
about.
that's everything. How can we do this? How can we get into the house? To communicate and come up with ways. You gotta think out of the box. And someone ain't, someone not gonna do that.
Like the first time I brought you to my house, and you were like, "Oh, well, what does the porch look like?" And I said, "It's a couple steps, and then like a few like footsteps, and then up into the door." And so we experimented with the different ramps that you have, and
We gotta
found.
wrap it up.
Oh wait, how long have we been doing this?
23 minutes.
Seriously? The bottom line is just that a lot of communication needs to be had. I mean, just with any relationship, but especially in a relationship where someone or both is disabled, it's a different kind of communicating, but it's communicating all the same.
So, when you get back out there, hot, keep your head up high. Don't ever, there's someone out there for you. And if people can't see that, they're not the ones for you. Um, Peter, there's always gonna be someone there for you. And just get back out there. You have nothing to be ashamed about. You want love. We all want love. Like,
All you need is love.
let's just say. So, get back out there. We made this video way too long.
It's gonna be more though.
Yeah, more on the way. If you got any questions for us, we can go over them. And I just want people to know, to be proud of yourself and get back out there and find the true love that you're gonna get. And with what I always say, can help you to find that. And that is,
Never give up.
and,
Never surrender.
and give loyalty and respect to everyone,
Everybody.
especially.
I totally forget what you said.
Yourself. So thank you for watching. Email us. And yeah, so thank you for watching.